Songa bro, unanilia.
Songa wapi mtu?
Money.
on standby. Well, we continue to give you the unrivaled coverage of President Kibaki, the late, last lap of honor. And as you can see now, the procession has stopped. We're not very sure what is exactly happening, but that's about 15 minutes before they get to Karatina town. But I can see the military outriders are now back on their pikis, and I think now the journey has started again. So you would expect them to get to Karatina town in about 15 minutes from now, because they're going through this small town called Kangosho, which is about 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers to Karatina town. And then I think from Karatina, probably maybe they were consulting maybe which route to take, because I know, Karatina town, there has been a lot of construction around that town, and there you'd expect probably maybe to see a lot of distractions because today is a market day in Karatina town, and so you'd expect a lot of people in that town. And bearing in mind that the road is still under construction in that area, then it calls for serious rethinking and serious planning. So I think those are some of the issues probably maybe they were consulting about. But as you can see, I was just talking to my colleague here, Victor, and time now is almost coming to 9 o'clock, and bearing in mind that they left Lee Funeral Home at exactly 2 hours ago, that was 7 o'clock, and now they're in Karatina. Karatina is about, is it 80 kilometers?
Thereabout, and compared to, if you look at the speed they're doing, it's relatively a good speed, considering that this is a convoy and you don't need to go at a speed of 120 or 110, and the road is still under construction. You can even see the way that horse is maneuvering its way, Perhaps, engineer, this ought to have been sorted out well in advance. Some of these speed bumps would have been removed for the sake of this exercise, probably, right? What do you think, engineer?
The horse, but the Jaguar.
Yeah, that's a Jaguar.
There's a problem going over the bumps.
Right.
It is very low.
The clearance is very low.
But as you can see, the Jaguar's clearance is also very, very low, yeah? Which means it was not meant for this kind of bumps.
You can see now is the one which is having problem maneuvering the bump. And I think where back there, it must have hit the bump, and then it was hit undercarriage. The undercarriage. So that's why they slowed down. Some of these bumps, they are not standard. Sometimes you wanted to have all bumps standardized with a proper design. But now it doesn't work, because people just go and put bumps. They just call a contractor.
Without a standard.
Without standard, they want to make a bump. So you find some are very, very high. But
you've talked about this, the standard and the height of a bump. How should it be now that you're here?
Friendly.
Right.
If it is going to be there, it has to be a friendly bump. To slow you, but not to stop you.
To slow you, but not to stop you.
Yeah, because if a bump is going to stop...
Look at that. I mean, it has stopped again, eh?
Yeah, because the bumps, those bumps are...
Oh dear.
And it's sad.
They are very big.
It's very sad.
You see, when a bump is big to make that you are stopping, it is equivalent to a pothole. You are complaining about a pothole because it is stopping you. A bump which is very high, it stops you. A bump is not supposed to stop, it's supposed to slow you, reduce your speed. And a friendly bump...
That's why it's called a speed bump.
Just to check your speed. A friendly bump, you can even go over it, even when you are driving at 30 kilometers per hour. But you have to slow. Now you find in most areas, because they are having rubber strips before they get to the bump. So even worse, it is even worse. Rubber strip and even those big bumps. So the Jaguar, which is carrying the body, you can feel there is another bump there, you can look at it.
Look at the way it's
yeah.
Oh, Lord.
It cannot go straight. It has got to maneuver sideways.
And when you look at the clearing of that Jaguar, plus the fact that it's carrying a heavy casket, and then you have a number of people. I don't know how many people are riding in that Jaguar. Probably maybe 2. I don't know. So it tells you that even the load is also expected to be heavy.
Yes.
What more do we know about Victor? I know you're more into vehicles and so much. Would you want to tell us more about that Jaguar?
Well, it's a special one for that matter, and it's for, we only have another one at the Lee Funeral Home, but the fact that this is a military event, the information we have at this one is also under the military. So they had to bring it for the purposes of this event, and it's a turbo supercharge, a stretch Jaguar converted into a hearse. And you see this one is a 4-seater, because you have got a driver, co-driver, and either family members at the back, just 2, and that should be it. And then the remaining bit at the back is where the casket is. In terms of engine capacity, probably it's been enhanced because of the extra weight added and the carrying capacity now, but it should be a 2,500 cc's turbo supercharge kind of a vehicle. But then depends with the specification and what you need to do with it. But the normal standard should be 2,500 cc and thereabout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because we have the program already here. Maybe I can take people through what is expected. Of course, the procession has left Lee Funeral Home. It did this 7 in the morning exactly, and they took they're on the way to Othaya, and they're almost now approaching Karatina town. So it is expected that, according to the program, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., there will be a funeral mass, and, there will be beginning of mass and blessings of the body. There will be the entry procession. There will be the Bible procession, fast reading, responsorio, psalms, up to around 3 p.m. And now between the hours of 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., the interment ceremony is expected to take with the final rites at the graveside. The state funeral procession, military honors, the 19-gun salute that Victor was talking about, the committal prayer, the interment, musical tribute, floral tribute, and President Othaya's home. That is the program. So it is expected to go or the program is expected to go all the way up to 4 p.m. And some of the music that you expect to hear that are lined up during the ceremony is, one of them is Great is Thy Faithfulness. It is well with my soul because He lives. Blessed assurance. What a friend we have in Jesus. All to Jesus I surrender. You raise me up, and my hope is built on nothing less. Quite such a beautiful song there. I like it actually. And Bwana Mungu Nashangaa Kabisa. That one is new to me. There is also another one that we all know here. Chakutumaini Sina. Ila damu yake Bwana. That's another song that that is expected to be recited during the burial ceremony. And the Catholic Church, bearing in mind that President Mwai Kibaki was a staunch Catholic member, is going to lead these mass. So that is according to this program. And we've been here, and of course, with Professor Michael Chege, who was President Kenyatta's economic and policy advisor.
President Kibaki's.
I mean President Kibaki. Oh Lord, I keep on confusing. Excuse me. President Kibaki is an economic and policy advisor, and of course Joshua Toro, who was the Assistant Minister for Roads, Public Works and Housing under the late President Kibaki's tenure. And we've been having this conversation here, and of course with my colleague Victor, trying to relive the memories of Mwai Kibaki. And we've touched on a number of things, from infrastructure and the significance of using the road transport, to take him all the way to Othaya. And it is coming out clearly that because President Kibaki was very much interested in infrastructure development, it was proper, to showcase some of his projects that are going to outlive him, definitely. And one of them we were talking about is the Thika superhighway, which was actually his brainchild, and now they are going through the Keno Marua Highway, which is currently under construction, and that's why you are seeing the Jaguar car is having a little bit of challenge, maneuvering over those bumps. But at this juncture, I would want to bring in Engineer Toro and find out, was the Keno Marua Highway, part of President Kibaki's plan?
Yes. It started when he took over. As I said before, his vision was to connect the northern grid road all the way to Moyale. And to do that, you had to start from Thika superhighway, then you go to Keno, Marua, then all the way to Nanyuki. So the conception and the design for the route from Keno to Marua was done a long time before Kibaki left office in 2013. And it was to be funded by African Development Bank. And it was designed by our engineers by then. But the money from African Development Bank was not forthcoming because they had to fund the superhighway first. And the superhighway had to finish before they tackled the Keno Marua Road. So the slowness that came about is because the funding was not available then. And also the way President Kibaki worked was very systematic, and the planner is here, Professor as a planner. He knows very well what Kibaki wanted done. And the first 5 years, if people can remember very well, by the time we came to 2007, he was telling Kenyans that we are funding everything 95%. We are borrowing 5%. So it was Kibaki's idea that even infrastructure, we should be able to fund internally. So after the superhighway, the Keno Marua Road was also to be funded internally. And funding internally also, the concept of borrowing. Whenever Kibaki borrowed money from World Bank or ADB, he knew exactly how that money is going to be paid.
There was a repayment plan in place.
There was a repayment plan. And if that repayment plan was going to be abandoned to Kenyans, he would delay the implementation of certain projects.
Just hold your thoughts there, because we should be coming back now. We just want to cross over to Othaya Approved School, where our reporter John Jacob Curie has been camping the whole night, trying to keep an eye on what is happening. And now we want to cross over to him so that he can give us a brief of what is happening now that the casket is less than 1 hour from where they are. Curie, if you can hear me, what the latest do you have from Othaya Approved School?
Thank you, O'Brien. We live from the approved school grounds in Othaya, and of course, the members of the public continue to trickle in, as well as dignitaries who are attending this burial ceremony of the late President Mwai Kibaki. We've seen quite a number of them who are making their way inside the tent, of course, as we await the arrival of the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki. And we'll be talking to a few of them, but just to let you know that we are on standby as we await the body of the late President. Now, the celebrant of the Mass is the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Nyeri, Archbishop Anthony Muheria, who is already here, and a pack of senior government officials ahead of the arrival also of President Uhuru Kenyatta and other senior government officials. Probably from what you can see behind me is the entrance of the approved school grounds, obviously where dignitaries will be coming through as they head towards the tent. The Mass is scheduled to begin at around 10, led by Archbishop Anthony Muheria and Catholic priests. But remember, this is also interdenominational, so we've seen quite a number of religious leadership from other denominations, obviously also coming in here to eulogize a man who has been described as a gentle giant and probably a gentleman in politics. We'll be trying to grab a few interviews here and there, obviously, to talk to some of the dignitaries making their way here. But let me just hand it back to you a bit, O'Brien Kimani, so we can be able to grab a few people, then get back to you.
Well, that is inside the dais where, the dome where the burial ceremony is expected to take place. You can actually see a few people there who, if my eyes serve me right, I can see that was the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Kenneth Marende there. But we're back on the road. The Jaguar is still having challenges, maneuvering over those big bumps, bearing in mind that this road is still under construction. We are still with a team of people who served under Kibaki's government. They continue to give us some soft bits about what they know about this man and how they interacted with him. And we're also in the company of our very own Victor in the studio, who we've been with. And actually, we've been here since 5 in the morning. And so that we ensure that we give you the best coverage. And so far, this is nothing else like it. I mean, this is world-class coverage here. We told you that the procession is approaching Karatina town, where now they still head to Maroa, where the road terminates, and then from there they will take a left turn to Othaya, and we expect them to be there in the next 50 or so minutes, depending on how the road is likely to be. But of course, we do not expect to see interruptions along the highway, especially after they make the turn off to Nyeri town, because there's no construction there. The only challenge that we're having here is because the Kenal to Maroa road is under construction, and this is what we were discussing here with Joshua Toro, engineer, who was a former assistant minister in Kibaki's government. Joshua, coming back to you, you were giving us an idea of how the whole road was conceptualized, and now that is currently undergoing. Was it the same design that, as government you envisioned, or maybe there has been alterations along the process?
Yes, the designs is updated continuously. So the concept and design at that time, by the time it came to be constructed, there was a review, design review. So the original concept, although it was to be dual carriageway, the way it is, but then what changes come because of compensation of land. Sometimes you find there is heavier compensation, and then you redesign to reduce the cost. Sometimes you cannot avoid compensation. Some of it is very expensive. And from that time up to the time it started being constructed, before the valuation was done for compensation, people kept on improving their land and putting buildings. So as years went by, the value of compensation also went up. As I was saying, Kibaki looked at the borrowing capacity to pay and the implementation of the project. So the concept from Keno to Marwa to Nanyuki, then come to Isiolo extending to Marsabit, Merile, then going to the border with Ethiopia. All that concept was what Kibaki had, and it was designed and kept to be implemented as funds were available. Because as far as Kibaki was concerned, until the road goes all the way to Moyale, Kenya has not been opened up. Because that area from Isiolo going to Marsabit to Moyale, it was, I say, radrocked. You talk to the people who used to go to Moyale, they use lorries, they would spend about even a week traveling.
Because the road was in poor condition.
Buses never used to go there, and then there was insecurity because the road was
look
bad.
At this, Professor, engineer, first of all. I think now they have entered Nyeri town. Not Nyeri, but Karatina. Is that Karatina town?
I think this is Karatina.
Yeah, and oh my, look at the number of people there who are out these early morning just to bid their son Kwaheri. And the outriders are being forced now to slow down. Yeah, these are military outriders. And this is inside the tent where the ceremony will take place. There's a little bit of consultation there because in an event like this, you need people to be at the right place at the right time. So this is Karatina town. Can we confirm that?
Let's see.
Professor, are your eyes strong enough to see?
We have to identify a building so that you say this building is in Karatina.
But there's a lot of construction around this
Victor,
road.
you're still very young, so I would expect your eyes to be very strong. Can you guide us on these?
But it's growing so fast.
So
that's a challenge.
You have to identify a building.
This must be up towards Karatina town.
Towards, but not Karatina town,
Yes. Again.
Okay.
Yes. This is Karatina town.
This is Karatina town,
Karatina town.
So my eyesight is not failing me.
No. You're right. So
Let's
from
see.
here, I think to Odai should be around 40 minutes or so.
It's about 40 minutes,
Yeah.
This is, I'm yet to identify anything.
We have to cross the railway. There's a railway crossing.
Yeah, and there's a market. There's a famous market that used to be around there.
So I'm trying to see whether they have crossed that railway line.
I'm yet to see that as well. So I could be wrong.
No, this is not Karatina.
But it is...
they have not entered Karatina yet.
It is not yet Karatina town, But it is within the vicinities of Karatina town? I don't know. I'm not very conversant with that region, but I would spot Karatina if I see one, because of course there is that huge Chaka market that actually was also a brainchild of President Mwai Kibaki.
Exactly.
And you want to talk about that?
It used to be the largest open-air market in Sub-Saharan Africa at one point.
Second to Kano, I think.
Second to Kano, one of those. Yes, open air market. And a lot of vegetable produce coming to Nairobi used to originate from there. And he was concerned about the promises which had been made to people in Madira region.
Well, let me confirm this. There's a colleague of mine, Wahome, he's telling me that this is towards Kibiregui or Kifirigui. And this place is called Kangosho Hill. In
exactly.
Town. Thank you, Wahome, for the props. And I mean, you've saved us from the challenges we are going through here.
Mental torture. He knows the place very well.
And so the promises had been made. My very good friend, the late governor of Nyeri, Wahome Kakuru, who worked with me on Vision 2030. He revived it and was very vigorous in demanding that it be planned and acted on. And I think the president was already aware that there was a need for this. He knows the area very well. So it got built. There are problems operating it, which I've heard about, managing it and all of that. But the fact is that there is now a modern market in Karatina. And the railway is back in operation as well.
And the market is also huge,
It's still a huge market as far as produce is concerned, but other products are also coming in as well.
Also tell us, I mean, you are a member of the National Economic and Social Council, the NESC, which was very critical during Kibaki's time in giving the country economic as well as a social direction. Can you tell us something small about that as well?
I think the president, as soon as he came in, was very interested in getting the best policy advice possible in transforming the country towards what he thought would be the country that we all desired at Independence Vision 2030. And he collected the best brains he could in the country, in the region, but also internationally, looking at what had happened in Korea, as well as the newly industrializing Asian countries like Malaysia, which became a model, and Singapore. He brought in some of the best people who had worked with the presidents of those countries in their formative period. And they were extremely useful to us. We brought in experts from Britain as well. Linda Choka, who was Minister for Overseas Development at one point, a very good friend of our country, and was at that time working with one of the multinationals, came to be part of the NESC. A lot of top business people in the country were also part of the NESC, as well as leaders in thinking, economists, as well as professionals, engineers, and who were involved in those. He wanted them to fill in the details. He had the vision, the details of how we get there step by step. And he chaired it, listened, read all the reports very carefully, asked all the tough questions. And this was good way of policy making, because once you have recommendations at that level, with that kind of expertise, you flesh them out before they come to cabinet as papers and as proposals with his support.
Very good. I'll be coming back to you to find out what exactly what happened to NESC and whether now it is still happening. But we want to go to Othaya approved school, where now we want to get an update from John Jacob Curia, who has been camping there since Friday, actually. And so, John Jacob Curia, can you hear me? And what else do you want us to know at this point?
Thanks to Brian. We're still at the Othaya approved school grounds as we continue to await the arrival of the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki. And right now I'm joined by the Maendeleo Wanawake president, who will, tell us about how she remembers President Mwai Kibaki. Thanks very much. Probably start by, if you were to shape or you were to talk about President Mwai Kibaki's legacy, what would you say is his legacy?
I'll start by saying, first of all, kwa niaba ya Maendeleo ya Wanawake, tuko hapa leo kufanya wa final respect to President Kibaki na kwa familia yake. Mwenyezi Mungu awapatie nguvu. What would I say about President Kibaki? He was our third president. All the Kenyan presidents performed very well. Founding father gave us a country. Second president yakaendelea pali alipata kazi. Third president naye akaleta yake. Having started at an early age, of course, he was in Kenya from the beginning. He was younger, and he was able to do very clear issues, sacrifice. We have been told the history, we don't have to go there. But I think for me today, it is to ask ourselves, are we able as a nation to carry the sacrifice President Kibaki has shown us, that you can sacrifice? I want to say what His Excellency said, and we are echoing that you can be a vice president for 11 years, and then you go down to be a minister of health with grace. That if we are Christians, is something we need to respect and follow. His hard work. We are not seeing any business here of working smart. There's a lot of working smart in the country, especially to you young people. We are seeing a journey of hard work. We are seeing a journey of sacrifice where you are in Makerere, and instead of going to pick a big job in World Bank, those days of McNamara, those of us who remember that in the 70s, you come home to build your country. Sasa hii nchi tumenjengewa. Rais Kenyatta naye akaja akafanya yake mingi, tumeona mabarabara tukinja, we keep on seeing infrastructure. He doesn't thump his chest, but we don't want to appreciate that. Time will tell. Let me leave that one there. But just say the highway. I use it on my way home every weekend myself to Yatta. That is my highway. He worked with other people also. He wasn't alone. He had a good team. So whenever you work with a team, tungeomba timu zote zikiingia hata ile serikali itakuja washike mkono kiongozi, kwa sababu you will deliver because of the team you have. Whether you are the deputy president, you are ministers, you are PSs, itakuwa ni mzuri sana kushika kiongozi na kusaidia to deliver. So President Kibaki, economy, agriculture, education. And for the girl child, the first thing he gave was a free sanitary pads when Charity was Minister of Health, Charity Ngilu. So without saying very many things, because they have been said, life of sacrifice, I think, is what we need to take home. Economy, saving money, taking care of money, investment, and building this country for the future. Kenya is not finishing in 2022. We shall all leave Kenya going on. So for you young people, sacrifice, and for the new leaders, it's an election time. Sacrifice for the nation, not sacrifice for self. So we say fare thee well, President Kibaki. With me as the Katibu wa Chama, Elizabeth Mayeka.
All right.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Mama. Asante sana. Let me talk to the celebrant of a mass today, Archbishop Anthony Muheria. Thank you very much, Archbishop, for joining us. How far is the program so far?
Well, thank you very much. We want to welcome all Kenyans today in this final send-off of our beloved President Mwai Kibaki. We want to ask all Kenyans to join us in prayer, wherever you are, whatever faith. Let us pray for this great man who has done us great service. So the body is on the road, and we should be expecting the arrival of the body here within the next 20 or so minutes. And we will then proceed to have the mass. Today there will not be a lot of the military drills that we saw yesterday in the state funerals, but still the military was to be taking charge. After that, we will start the mass, we'll have the mass, and as we did yesterday at the request of the family, we will only have the mass, a few tributes, and then we'll go and inter Mzee in his final resting place. He gives us a great example, and even today, with a very simple funeral, a very simple burial, I pray that Kenyans learn that it is not the power, that is not the trying to show with the opulence and might that makes a great man. He's a simple man and has wanted to be buried simply.
Yesterday, there were people who appeared to have a problem with your warning that there should be no politics in the funeral. I'm sure probably even today you will stick to your guns that there will be no politics in the burial.
Yeah, that is a desire of the family. That is also a desire as church. I don't think there is any fear or threat. I think they are very welcoming. Our leaders, when they are approached with respect, always listen. It is when we don't show respect, when then we enter in confrontation. We respect them fully. All the leaders will be here, but I think it's also fair that we also respect the function and the wish of the family. And I think we don't foresee any trouble today either. We pray that all of us will be satisfied by being present and praying for this, our dear elder, statesman, and father and mentor to very many. Thank you very much.
Yesterday there was an issue at the dais, and you handled it with a lot of grace. How did you do that?
I think To be honest, it's what occurred to me at the moment. The Holy Spirit inspires us in moments, but I think much has been said about it. I think it should be the normal thing for all of us. When you have a young man who is a bit maybe deranged, maybe emotionally affected, I think we have to take people as they are, wherever we are. And even if we're in a serious occasion, just have a moment for those who are perhaps less privileged or who are in difficulty. But I don't want to put it like a special thing. I think this what, let's call it, is a Christian, and it should be even the Kenyan thing. So let's not overhype it. It's just a gesture. Yes.
Thank you very much, Archbishop. Asante sana. Archbishop Anthony Muheria. That incident yesterday, he handled it with a lot of grace, and he insists that's how Kenyans ought to treat each other. We continue to await the arrival of the body of the late president, but of course you can hear from the sky, sounds from the sky to be there are people coming in through the sky as they land in Othaya to bury a man who has been described as a gentle giant. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in mourning President Kibaki yesterday, he said that he wanted to describe President Kibaki in three ways. President Kibaki the man, Kibaki the leader, and Kibaki the visionary. And that is who President Mwai Kibaki was, a leader, a man, because he stood for family values, and also a visionary, owing to the fact that, you know, the placement of the Republic of Kenya in terms of infrastructural development, as well as the education sector, in terms of improving access to education through free primary education. And that is part of his biggest legacy. Thika Road, that entire stretch from Museum Hill to Keno, constructed under his watch and part of his legacy. And today, using that road for the very last time, this giant uses that road for the very last time as he comes to Othaya. And the residents of Othaya are out in their numbers to mourn this man. They called their member of parliament, they called Mheshimiwa, they called their father. They are out here to mourn that man, and they have come in their numbers. And probably as you monitor from your screen the convoy, you will notice there are numbers of people who have come out again in their numbers from the roads to at least say goodbye to the third president of the Republic of Kenya, a man you would say has set himself apart as a great man, and a man who was able to achieve much in terms of putting Kenya at par and restoring Kenya's image in the globe, or in the community of nations. And that is who President Mwai Kibaki is. And obviously, at some point, we saw some of the retired CDS, or the Chief of Defense Forces. Then they used to be called Chief of General Staff, or CGS. Those who served under President Mwai Kibaki will also be making their way here. Some of them have already done that. And you can tell it will be a colorful ceremony. But as you have had Bishop Muheria say, there will be not much of, you know, the military operations that we saw in Nyayo, or the honors from the military like we saw in Nyayo yesterday, but there will still be the power bearers, and we'll still be handling a lot of protocol here. But mostly today is the church, or is dedicated to church. We'll still continue grabbing a few interviews here and there and coming to you, O'Brien, but for now let me hand the broadcast back to you as we continue to await the arrival of the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki.
Well, thank you, John Jacob Curia there, talking to various people from Karatina Approved School, where the public mass is expected to take place, and actually talking there to Muheria and about what kind of a program we expect to see from that place. And of course, yes, Muheria, Bishop Muheria has just cleared the air that we do not expect to see a lot of military interactions there. It's going purely to be a church affair, giving the locals there an opportunity to mourn and, of course, see their son. So now it's clear that the procession is now almost getting to Karatina town, because this is that tough hill before you get to Karatina town. And from Karatina town is about 31 kilometers to Othaya Approved School. So you can see plus or minus by around 10 you would expect to see the body and this team, getting to Othaya, approved school, where the mass is expected to start, and it will go all the way up to 3 p.m. and then thereafter from 3 to 4 the interment of the body is expected to take place. So plus or minus 4 p.m. you expect this ceremony to come to a close. We are back in studio here with my team. Professor Mike Ochege, a former advisor on economic as well as policy issues to President Mwai Kibaki, and Engineer Joshua Tora, former Assistant Minister for Roads, Public Works as well as Housing, giving us a brief history of the man who the nation is bidding farewell today. And of course, we also have Victor, who is also my colleague on the other side. Victor, do you have any question to the team?
Probably before I get to ask a question, but this is quite unheard of. We've never seen such before, having that long distance. What happened with the late President Moi? There was a chopper which took the body, ferried the body all the way from Nairobi to Kabarak, but this one is slightly different because covering that distance from is now 9:30, that is now 2.5 hours on the road. We would have expected to see something quite different, having a military chopper ferrying the body from here, the way it was done with President Moi, but this is completely different. Even though with all the challenges, the roads are still under construction, but either way, as engineer would say, this was part of his pet project to connect part of the northern corridor, in terms of infrastructure. Engineer, when you look at this and you look at President Mwai Kibaki's policy in terms of economic policy, foreign policy, and now you put it here, perhaps wherever he is, so to speak, he must be so happy with the development that is happening, even though way after his tenure. Engineer.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think wherever he is, and after retirement, when he would know the policy that he put in place and the infrastructure that he conceived was being done.
Yes.
He was a very happy former president. If I may maybe go back to 2 or 3, so that our viewers can understand the thinking of Mwai Kibaki.
Yes.
When he formed his first government, because of the policy and the anticipation that he wanted to excel infrastructure, he put 2 engineers in the Ministry of Roads, Public Works and Housing. That was Engineer Raila and myself. It was not by mistake. It is because Kibaki really wanted 2 people he can trust to be in charge of his dream in infrastructure.
Yes.
So when we started working with the challenges that we found there, and consulting with the president, his mind was very clear. We were not there in the ministry to fight the former president.
Yes.
Because the former president, infrastructure, most of them had failed, and they were white elephants, as people used to say. But he made it clear to us that we are not there to talk about failed projects. So what did he tell us to do? Those white elephants, can you please, when you are budgeting now,
right,
before you start new projects, can you complete those first?
Yes.
That's why those of you who remember the NYS,
the housing
buildings
complex
there, which had been there,
yes,
as white elephant for many years. We started with those ones. We finished them. We never said that pesa ilikuliwa wakati wa Moi. We never talked about that one.
You are focusing on the current government.
Focusing on, because those projects are for Wananchi. He said this project was started for Wananchi. So until they are finished, Wananchi cannot enjoy them. We come to some infrastructure like a road which used to be called Kisiche Mosquito Road. It was for a long time, election after election, that is in Kisiche. Contractors would be ferried during elections, and then after elections, it would be abandoned. So by the time we came to finish that road,
yes,
the contractor we put on praise was the 5th contractor.
The 5th
contractor who did that job.
Working on the same design?
Well, we kept on improving, because by then the designs were not being done. It was just a question of eating the money. But we were saying, don't talk about what money has been eaten before. Can you go and do this road? Kisi's are complaining every year that the Kisiche Mosquito Road, we do campaign. Can you please do this road? Don't think about what happened. So that one we did. And then when we came to now to actually decide which projects we need to prioritize, we formed what we used to call pending bills verification committee. We put professional engineers and planners and accountants, auditors. We put them in that committee, and they went through all the contracts that were signed and did a verification of what to be paid and what not to be paid, the status of every project, so that we can be able to know where we are and moving forward, so that we can be able to do the budgeting. So those projects that contractors were paid and they had not done anything, the bills, the certificates that were pending there, we could not pay. This is the time that you heard about the cowboy contractors. That term was used. We used term cowboy contractors. But you see contractors, and this is, I like our viewers to get this correct. It is not the contractors who are bad. It is not the engineers who are bad. It is the management. Because those contractors are the ones we used. We never got any other contractors. They are the contractors we used to actualize the dream of Kibaki in infrastructure. The other thing that I think people don't know is Kibaki did not want us to talk about...
Sorry, but I think it is proper to say that now they are entering Karatina town. As you can see, this is now Karatina town. Would you want to confirm that, Professor Chege?
I have to take a quick look. And find out, because
once you pass the railway line, then that you're...
Then we're in Karatina.
Have we passed the railway?
Right.
And they have stopped. I
think it's that bump.
It's the bumps again?
Maybe it has...
This is the second incident that they've witnessed
you
so
know,
far.
in the bank, that bump, there's a bump there at Karatina which is very, very bad. Maybe it has held the undercarriage of the... of the vehicle.
Because I can see in the background there, that is what we used to call the Karatina Cinema. Behind there, a long time ago, before movie theaters became a thing of the past. I know you can relate to that very well. But I think there's a challenge with
a high school somewhere. I think it is the undercarriage which is being affected by this.
Which is having a challenge.
Engineer, there is something quite peculiar here. This is the second time that they're having a stop.
Yes.
And from your engineering perspective, you said that a speed bump should slow you down, not make you stop. This is the second time it's happening.
Yes.
Perhaps on a national television, and talk to the road engineers, your colleagues, people who are taking construction of these roads. This is a clear picture of what is happening out there to the common mwananchi, because you've had many people say, I go to the village and when I come back, I have to change my suspension because of such. What did you tell the road engineers out there?
The road engineers know exactly what they are supposed to do. But when any contractor who comes to pull the bump, you know they are paid on the material used. Yeah?
All right.
The quantity.
Brian, do you get the point?
The quantity. So when the contractors come,
yes,
the quantity
you use,
the more they use,
the more they are paid.
the more they are paid.
The more you are paid.
Yeah, the more you are paid. That's what they look at.
Yes.
So when the engineer comes to do the need to calculate the quantity used,
right,
the contractor will have used, and he will be paid for what he has been used. So you find now some bumps are so big, and the contractor has been paid more money. So another one which is smaller, the contractor got less money.
Yes.
So it's a question of the small corruption there going on. Now you find all engineers know that the speed bumps are supposed to slow vehicles, not to stop. And over the years, because of the development of the vehicles, most of the vehicles are now coming and they are lower. Every time they are lower.
Exactly.
Lower. Right. So you find the speed bump that we used to have pickups and these vehicles they were tropical vehicles with high suspension. They used to go over those bumps easily. But now it has changed. Like you can see the Hasna here.
Yeah. This is embarrassing.
It is an embarrassment. Because this is the second time. That one it will stop at the bump there, and this is the second bump it is stopping.
But I think what we're just doing here is just we're just speculating that it's an issue of bumps because it's yet to be confirmed. Because probably maybe they could also be stopping maybe for health break or something like that.
You don't stop at nowhere.
Or maybe they are just well, I'm just also speculating. I cannot confirm these.
You see, if they were speaking to people, if they stop to speak to people, people come, it is different. Even if it is a health issue, they would go in somewhere where, not a shopping center, where it is open, where somebody can go and, But now where they are stopping, you can see there is a problem.
There is a problem there.
And the problem, I maybe can assume it is because of the bump, probably. Because it's not a health break there. There's no hotel there. There are people, there are even no people there, crowding there to be talked to. So maybe our assumption might be right about the issue of the bump.
All right. On your left is the procession to Othaya, and on the right of your screen is what is happening at the Othaya approved school in Nyeri County. I can see Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who was actually the Minister for Planning during Kibaki's tenure. And next to him is Nakuru Governor Lee Kenyanjui there. I mean, let me hear your thoughts, Professor Chega. I know you worked with Nyong'o closely.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
What I was talking about, the thinking of the president when he endorsed us with the issue of the infrastructure. I was saying there is something that people don't know. The issue of President Moi's residence in Cabinet Gardens. The one with that house.
The house that is just next to Kibera.
It was the vice president's official residence.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the deputy governors during the colonial period.
Yeah. So when Moi became the vice president, that's where he resided.
Yeah.
So when Kibaki
was there a presidential house?
It's a state house.
State house.
Yes. So when
he opted to live in the vice president's house.
He's decided to be there when he became president. So when Kibaki took over, naturally the president the former president should have vacated, and the vice president should occupy the house. But Kibaki did not want to look like he is harassing the former president. So when he called us, me and Laila, about that issue, he made because the housing docket was under the ministry, he made it very clear that house, the government is going to bestow that house to the former president for good. So that's how that house became Moi's house. Even to today. It's not government house.
But it was a public house.
It was a public house. It was government house for the vice president. So that's what happened. And that's why we now conceived building a residence for the vice president in Karen. So that's the thinking of the president. That's how the president was, very careful, not vindictive about the former president. He did not want anything about the former president to be brought in anywhere. And even those people,
to create that animosity.
And those people who thought that they could even sue the former president for some things, Kibaki did not want to hear those nonsense. He did not want to hear. And not at any time did you hear President Kibaki talking about Moi and attesting failures of Kenya to the former president. And he said, now, for you, continue with what you are going to deliver. Forget about the past. And I think he had a lot of trust, especially for me. He trusted me. That's why I remained there for 5 years. Raila left in 2005 after the referendum. And Nyashai came. Nyashai was having his health problems. So for those 5 years, Kibaki had my trust. When I lost the election in 2007, because of the continuity of what you are doing, he took me to Kenya National
Highways Authority, as a chairperson.
I was not the chair, but we were the pioneer. That's when we formed Kenya. We were the pioneer board, but I was the only person who knew exactly what wanted to be done.
Very well.
So we went and formed Kenya. Not forgetting that when I was the assistant minister, that's when we had the 3 road boards. The Roads Act is when we enacted it.
Yeah.
So I was fully aware of what President wanted the boards to do, those boards.
Sorry, but I can see, I think, the wheels have started already, and now they are on the way to Nyeri. Well, they've stuck there for almost 10 minutes now.
Exactly.
I'm just wondering now. They were expected to be in Othaya at 10. If this was to continue, then they're likely to take a bit of time, on the highway.
Yeah.
We are yet to understand what exactly was happening there. Whether it was an issue of the Jaguar car that is carrying the casket, or maybe it was a question of consultations. But of importance is the fact that now they're on the way, and let's hope that they wouldn't have to stop again. And we continue to give you this coverage. This is Kibaki's final lap. We started at 7. That's when the body left the Lee Funeral Home. Now it's about 10 minutes to the hour of 10, and now the casket is around is around Karatina town. After these, they will have to go for another 35 kilometers before they get to Othaya approved school. And we've been crisscrossing the two places, the entourage and the approved school, just to show you what is happening there, because we have our team there. We have Nancy Okware, we have Beatrice Gatonye and John Jacob Kioria, who are right there just to bring us, various perspectives of what is happening now. The body has so far now gone through 3 counties, the county of Nairobi, actually 4. The county of Nairobi, the county of Kiambu, the county of Murang'a. Oh, and actually in Kirinyaga. This is now the 5th county.
Yes.
So Kiambu,
Murang'a,
Kirinyaga, now Nyeri.
So they started with Nairobi, then Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, and now they're in Nyeri County now. Interesting. And as you can see, thousands of people in Karatina, bracing the morning chill just to bid farewell to their son, bearing in mind that this would also be classified as Kibaki's local town, which is less than 40 kilometers from where he was born. Another area that would be very interesting to you is the entourage is expected to go through various centers, and can take you through them. After Karatina, they will go through a small town called Mathaithi, at the junction to Mukurweini. Then there's also another town called Giagatika, junction to Tomotomo.
Yeah.
I want to pause at Tomotomo because it is very significant, because that is where the late Kibaki's wife, Mama Lucy Kibaki, went to high school.
That's correct.
Tomotomo Girls High School. So I don't know whether they may stop there just to honor the school. Look at the people in Karatina waving white handkerchiefs. It's a sign of peace. Nice. This is quite interesting. Prof, do you want to say something about this?
This is Karatina at its best. This is the people coming out in huge numbers. Not far from Tomotomo, as you've said, the center of Presbyterianism in Central Province, together with Togoto. First missionaries arriving in Togoto, then moving on to Tomotomo. Kenyatta actually went to Togoto, but he also spent some time in Tomotomo as a young man. That's
Kenyatta's the senior.
Yes, Jomo Kenyatta, sorry, That's how deep it goes. And the education there, and early education and PCA work is still an imprint. It's not just the school, also the hospital, the church, and all.
Oh dear. Well, Engineer Toro, I mean, you're completely gobsmacked. Do you want to say something about what you're seeing on your screen?
You know, when I look at this, I see people are genuinely happy to receive their president.
And also sad. That is the last time they're going to.
And sad at the same time. It's a combination of happiness and sadness that they have bid him farewell after knowing him for all those years. Because President Kibaki was the politician in Nyeri, the top politician in Nyeri, respected. And every politician in Nyeri who wanted to go anywhere, if you are not associated with Kibaki, then people will just sideline you. Because the people in Nyeri wanted the leaders to be mentored by Kibaki. If you become an MP or a councillor in Nyeri, without mentorship from Kibaki, then your leadership was viewed, it could not be the best. And that's why you found those days, if you are standing against Kibaki, people in Nyeri would finish with you.
You were going to lose.
You were going to lose. And that is what was being recognized even yesterday. Kibaki the leader. When Uhuru talked about Kibaki, three things about Kibaki the leader. This is what he inculcated in the people of Nyeri and leadership.
Very well. Yes, the body has just, or the casket has just left, Karatina town now en route to Othaya. We now want to take you to Othaya.
And Brian, before you go to that, having seen, a multitude of people coming out and, waving the white handkerchiefs, when you look at the presidential standard that President Mwai Kibaki used was in white. Was in white. Even the presidential standard, which was on the gun carriage, was white, and the national flag, where he lay in state in parliament, was also in white. And it's quite a coincidence that even the residents coming out there and waving white handkerchiefs, of course, it would have been the same, but it's quite a coincidence that President Mwai Kibaki chose white. He's been talked about as a person who loved peace. So white and peace go hand in hand.
That's
and
right.
Just to say that the moment they will be about to arrive at Othaya, it's President Uhuru Kenyatta who actually will receive the body. Just the same way it happened yesterday at Nyayo National Stadium. They left State House, and briefly and shortly actually before they reached Nyayo Stadium, President Uhuru Kenyatta also arrived to receive the body. So I'm told that our reporter Beatrice Gatonye is on standby just to give us an update on what is there. Beatrice, it's a busy morning there, and of course, better part of the day. What do we know so far from that end of central Kenya? Beatrice.
Asante kwa studioni. Hapa ni katika uwanja wa Approved School ambapo misa takatifu ya wafu itafanyiwa hapa ya mwenda zake Mwai Kibaki. Na kama tujuavyo, msafara uko njiani na muda mfupi tu atakuwa mwili wake utakuwa kiwasili hapa, na ninataka nikuonyesha tu shughuli chache ambazo zinaendelea katika uwanja huu. Niko mmoja kati ya malango mengi yaliyoko katika uwanja huu, na huu ni mlango mmoja ambao unatumiwa na wananchi kuingia. Hapa wananchi wanakaguliwa. Kuna vitu ambavyo haviruhusiwi mtu yeyote kuingia navyo, kama vile kiberiti, ama maji, ama juice, ama vyakula vingine vyovyote. Na kama jinsi ambavyo unaona kulingana na picha ambazo unaonyeshwa hapa, ni kukaguliwa. Kila mmoja anafanyiwa ukaguzi kuhakikisha kwamba usalama umeimarishwa katika uwanja huu. Wananchi hawa wanapoingia katika uwanja huu wanakutana na maafisa wa NYS ambao wamewasubiri hapa, wanapatiwa maji, wengine pia wanapewa, na kisha baada ya kupatiwa maji unapatiwa mkate, alafu kisha pale mbele kuna soda za kila aina. Ile soda ambayo wewe unaipendelea unaichukua hapo, na kisha unaelekezwa mahali ambapo unastahili kuketi, na unasaidiwa na maafisa wa NYS pamoja na maafisa wengine wa polisi ambao wako katika eneo hili. Kando na hayo, mtazamaji, tayari wananchi wameanza kuketi, na kama tujuavyo, Rais Mwai Kibaki hayati sasa alikuwa anapendelewa sana hapa kama mbunge, kwani alihudumu tangu mwaka 1974 hadi mwaka 2013 kama mbunge wa eneo bunge la Othaya. Hivyo basi wakazi ambao wanamiminika katika uwanja huu wana hadhi kubwa sana na wanamheshimu sana mwenda zake, kwani ni kiongozi ambaye amewahudumia kwa muda mrefu, na ni mengi ambayo yamesemwa kuhusiana na kiongozi huyu. Na ningependa nikuelekeze upande huu mwingine. Baada ya wananchi kuingia, pia wanapata fursa ya kutazama picha ambazo zinaonyesha safari ya rais mwenda zake hayati Mwai Kibaki. Hizi ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha yeye kama mtu wa familia, yeye pamoja na mke wake Lucy hapo, pamoja na wajukuu akiwasomea vitabu. Hizo ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha Kibaki kama mtu wa familia. Kando na hayo, pia kuna picha nyingine ambazo zinamuonyesha kama mtu wa kitaifa. Alihudumu katika nyanja mbalimbali katika serikalini, hapo akiwa pamoja na hayati mzee Jomo Kenyatta, na yeye kama anahudumu pia kama katika nyadhifa mbalimbali alizokuwa amepewa kama kwenye serikali. Picha inayofuata ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha rais hayati Mwai Kibaki kama mbunge. Kama jinsi ambavyo nimekuambia, alihudumu kama mbunge wa eneo hili kwa takriban miongo minne, na picha hizi zinaonyesha safari yake yeye kama mbunge wa eneo hili. Kando na hayo, tuna picha ambazo pia zinamuonyesha ama zinaashiria wakati wake alipohudumu kama waziri wa fedha, na amesifiwa sana 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 kama waziri ambaye alifufua uchumi wa nchi hii, waziri ambaye alijitolea kuhakikisha kwamba uchumi wa nchi umeinuka. Kando na hayo, pia kuna picha ambazo zinaonyesha hayati Mwai Kibaki kama makamu wa rais, ambaye alikuwa makamu wa rais wake hayati Daniel Arap Moi. Hapo hizo ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha wakati wake yeye pamoja na hayati rais wa pili wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Daniel Arap Moi. Picha pia ambazo zinafuata ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha kuhusiana naye kama kiongozi wa upinzani, hapo wakiwa na John King wakati ambapo walianzisha chama cha DP. Hapo hizo ni picha ambazo pia zinaashiria hayati Mwai Kibaki kama kiongozi wa upinzani. Picha inayofuata inaonyesha nyakati mbalimbali alizohudumu kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Amesifiwa kama kiongozi ambaye alijitolea kuwasaidia Wakenya kuinua uchumi, kutengeneza barabara, kama jinsi ambavyo hapo tunasikia studioni wachanganuzi wakizungumza zaidi kuhusiana na jinsi walivyotengeneza barabara, walivyounda barabara nyingi. Amesifiwa kama rais ambaye bila shaka alileta mabadiliko makubwa hapa nchini Kenya. Hatutaweza kuzungumza kuhusu safari ya hayati Mwai Kibaki bila kuzungumzia kuzinduliwa kwa katiba mpya mwaka 2010. Hii ni safari ambayo alihakikisha kwamba ameifanya na nchi hii ikaweza kupokea katiba mpya ambayo imesifiwa sana kama mojawapo wa katiba ambazo ni nzuri sana kote duniani. Hapa ni katika uwanja wa Approved School, mtazamaji, ambapo mwili wa hayati Mwai Kibaki utakuwa ukiwasili muda mfupi kutoka sasa, ambapo viongozi wa serikali pamoja na wananchi wa hapa Othaya na kote nchini Kenya tayari wanaendelea kumiminika katika uwanja huu ili kumpa heshima za mwisho na pia kumsindikiza kiongozi huyu ambaye bila shaka amesifiwa kote ulimwenguni na wengi wamemwomboleza kama kiongozi aliyejitolea kuhakikisha kwamba taifa hili linainuka kiuchumi, kimaendeleo na mengine mengi. Na watu wa eneo hili tayari wamefika hapa kwa wingi kwa sababu wanajivunia kiongozi huyu ambaye wamemtambua kwa ukaribu sana, kando na wengine wetu kama Wakenya ambao tunamjua kama rais, na kwa kweli aliweza kufanya mengi. Lakini kwa wananchi wa Othaya ambapo watazikwa hivi leo, wanajivunia sana kiongozi huyu na wanamchukulia kuwa mtu wao wa karibu sana. Ndio sababu hivi leo, kando na kibaridi kingi hapa Othaya, wengi wamejitokeza, wadogo kwa wakubwa, wazee kwa vijana, wamama, wasichana, wamefika hapa kuhakikisha kwamba wanampa heshima za mwisho anazostahili kiongozi huyu, rais wa 3 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Hivyo basi tuko hapa katika uwanja wa Approved School ambapo tutakuwa tukikuletea taarifa nyingi kuhusiana na yale ambayo yatakuwa yakifanyika hapa, huku mwili wake ukitarajiwa kufika hapa. Tayari umefika katika eneo la Karatina na utakuwa ukiwasili hapa muda mfupi kutoka sasa. Na kurejesha studioni Obran Kemani pamoja na Victor Olo, uwanjani wenyu.
Thank you so much, Beatrice Gatonya there. That's a comprehensive update on what is happening down there in Othaya with the pictorial evidence of life and times of President Mwai Kibaki. And now, as you can see, guests have already taken their seats. And of course, as per the information is that that dome is going to carry 15,000 people and the rest will be beamed live on different screens that will be stationed outside that dome. And of course, security is also paramount, which she said that is taken care of adequately. So particular items are not allowed into that particular area. Things with matchstick, water and what have you, just for security purposes, those are the things that will not be allowed. They are a few minutes away from home, and of course it's now 3 minutes past 10 o'clock. We predicted that probably plus or minus, and of course is 3 minutes past the hour. We've seen 2 stops so far, and we can attribute that spillover the hour because of those stops. And of course the road is still under construction, so yes, it can pass that way. But then President Uhuru Kenyatta will be the person to receive the body, meaning President Uhuru Kenyatta at this particular point should be en route to Othaya. A 19-gun salute will be given in honor of the late President Mwai Kibaki. And of course we are also informed that a few meters to the home, the gun carriage will be there. Yet to confirm how that will take place. And of course, the casket is draped in a national flag, but at the burial site or the grave site, that flag will be handed over to the family of the late President Mwai Kibaki. Dignitaries are already in the country. So far we have got 3 presidents: Salva Kiir Mayardit of South Sudan, who attributed the kind of freedom they have right now to President Mwai Kibaki. He even said through the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, that is Martin Elia Lomuro, who spoke on behalf of Salva Kiir, who said that President Mwai Kibaki even took some of the government officials from South Sudan to Mombasa, to Kenya Government of School for training. And that is why they are so grateful to President Mwai Kibaki. The negotiation was done here in Kenya, and the peace accord was also done here in Kenya. Prof, it's when you talk of peace, when you talk of international relations with other nations, we can never talk much about President Mwai Kibaki. South Sudan is enjoying peace right now. And if you look at the flag, it's more or less the same as Kenya's flag.
That's correct.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right. Peace and development for us in Kenya always went together. And I think what President Kibaki did was to continue on the foundations built at independence by the first president and the second president as far as the Sudanese peacemaking efforts are concerned. I think President Kibaki's introduction and innovation here was something he called economic diplomacy,
yes,
and business diplomacy, going alongside peacemaking and development. If you look at our embassies everywhere, there was a renewed emphasis on business and bringing in investment and getting our exports out there. And part of the training, you just mentioned the importance of training here, in Kenya School of Government, but also Foreign Service Institute at our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, began getting a tweak towards emphasizing those issues. He was very conscious of them. He met the ambassadors. He wanted to know from each one of them, they meet I think once every 2 years, what exactly have they done to promote economic. But you're right, peace in our region. If you look at what happened in Somalia, our armed forces intervened when our tourist resorts in the coast came under attack.
Yes.
We didn't attack first, they attacked. We had to respond, and we did. As far as Somalia is concerned, we continued a very good cooperation as far as security in the region concerned with Ethiopia.
He was also so passionate about foreign policy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And foreign policy because he realized very well that we needed excellent relations with all the countries in the world. Let me tell you, a lot of people talk about looking east policy under Kibaki. I think that is not quite accurate.
Yes.
What he was doing was saying we are going to consolidate our relationship with the traditional partners in the West